What's up and welcome. My name is Sean and I'm going to be guiding you through this next session, and we're going to jump right into it to not waste any time. Today we're going to be talking about the masterclass for founders or owners, and we're going to actually specifically dive into how to use AI to create what we call a brand voice for our business, and then DM scripts that actually convert. Pro tip here, look, if it don't make money, it don't make sense. That's the thing that I've believed in and been working on for the past 30 years. So I think this is going to be really powerful and impactful for you. What's in it for you? Well, here's your opportunity. This is a massive opportunity for you. I'm really excited that you're here today. So first of all, thank you for being here. And here's what this session is going to provide. Number one, it's going to show you exactly how to craft personalized DMs from your personal profiles that convert. Secondly, we're going to show you how to build authentic connections that foster loyalty and trust. And then lastly, how to streamline your outreach process to save a boatload of time, because time is one of the only limited items on this earth that we have. We can never get time back. We can always make more money. So those are the three things that if you're in for that, like write in the chat roll, say what's up for sure. Love having you here. Now, what most people believe when it comes to AI, specifically with messaging on personal messengers, they say this: AI is too complicated for non-techies. And the truth really is, the reality check here is, these tools that have been created are so user-friendly, intuitive, and designed for everyone and not just for tech wizards anymore. If you can send a DM, you can actually harness AI. I've proved that a million times from Sunday, and I know it's possible. And again, that's probably why you're here. So you might not believe this myth, but a lot of people do believe this myth, right? Second myth is this one: like, AI generated content lacks authenticity. While I would agree, if you're just throwing a normal prompt into, your AI system and it's spitting out a very generic answer, that generic answer is going to lack authenticity. However, if you do it right, when guided correctly, AI can capture your unique brand voice and maintain authenticity and make your messages more relatable and engaging. So now that we've busted those two main myths, let's get into the juicy bits. First of all, why me? Why should you listen to me? I know you're here, your time is valuable. Well, on one slide, I'll share. I've been in the sales game for now almost 3 decades. That's 30 years of doing this. I got really good at it. But when I started online, pre-2016, I was offline and I learned sales. That's where I cut my teeth. That's what I did. 2016, my wife and I said, hey, we want to do it together. We want to build an online business. And so we started learning paid ads to cold traffic. As Russell says in his books, if you know Russell Brunson, he always says paid ads to cold traffic should be the last form or method of traffic that you go after. I did it backwards, so shame on me, right? So during that time, it took us about 34 attempts before we made one piece of creative, an ad, that actually started converting. And then it started converting so well, but by the end of that first year, 2016, when I was online, we made $300,000, and it was incredible. Early 2017 came, we thought we were on top of the world, we'd been traveling all over the place, and all of a sudden, our ad accounts got banned in February of 2017, and we didn't know what to do. We looked at each other, my wife and I were running this network marketing business, and we said, shoot, we have all this engagement on all of our ads and everything else. Like, why wouldn't we just start messaging these people and see if they're interested in getting involved? And that saved us. So much so, it allowed us to grow our first software company to $13 million. We did that in one single year, and then we actually exited from the company. And I got that cool award from Russell. I've been in his inner circle since 2016. I love him and his family dearly. He is just one of the most inspirational and greatest marketers, I would say, kind of our time. After we exited that software company, we didn't quite know what to do, so we asked Russell, what should we do? And he said, you should probably launch an agency. And in the agency, again, we didn't have any ad accounts, we didn't have any of that stuff. And so what did we do? We relied on the method that's been working the best for us, was DMs. And we started messaging these people that we would have loved to have as agency clients. And it exploded for us because it booked calls really quickly. We got on the phone and we started making deals. And then that led us into kind of what happened with our agency clients is they hired us to show them how to hire, onboard, and train a sales team. That's our specialty. So we did that for them, and we went through their warm market. And by about 6 months in, they all came back to us and they said, Sean, and Chris is my partner, and said, Sean and Chris, thank you for building the sales team, but now I can't sleep at night because I have no predictable way to put more leads in front of these salespeople that you just built me. And we were like, holy cow, we have a plan for that. And we showed our high ticket agency clients the DM method that we were using, and every single one of them, 100% of our agency clients that we've been working with for the past 3 years at that point, 2 years at that point, exploded. So during that time, we were like, okay, hold on, we got to launch a mastermind. So we launched a mastermind and we taught this concept. Now we were teaching this extremely manually, but just to prove the concept, we went out with no list, no group, no anything, and we did 104,000 in 41 days, which is pretty impressive. And that led us into one of our clients saying, hey, you guys need another software company. And then that's what we launched. We launched another software company that actually did $3 million in its first 2 years, or just shy of 2 years. And then we got another award. This is actually our own award. We have our own 6, 7, and 8-figure club in our own business that we have a lot of members get. More so than anything, why should you listen to me today? Because I have dissected over 1 million DM conversations. 1 million, count them. I bet you couldn't even, that's a lot of DM conversations. And throughout that journey, one of the things that emerged to me was these patterns, and it was these frameworks that always happen. And so that's kind of the special sauce of what I know and what I'm going to share with you today. And here was our manual lift, just to kind of show you the numbers, because I think everyone loves to see the numbers. When we were doing this, we had a script and we made it all fancy and we hyperlinked it. So you had this main document. So our team would get in there, they would click on one of the links, it would go to the place where they would get the messaging. Then they would go to the social media platform, they would open that up and they would send the message, come back, and then they would record that on a spreadsheet. And this works wonders. This was a system we used to teach in our mastermind, and we taught it for $25,000 a year. Really powerful. But here is the numbers, right? So when we first started this, just to prove it, our very first session, we didn't have it priced at $25K. We had it priced at $7,500. And then we discounted it down to $6K or something like that. Our average engagement of our first couple of messages was around 16.4%. That is within the ballpark of where you want to be. 15 to 40% is the range if you're doing DM messaging where you want to be. Secondly, we had a call booking rate of around 37%, a little bit higher than most. That should be 25% or higher. And then we had a close rate of 22.7. That means out of 10, we were closing 2 to 3 people and around that 6K price point, right? And we knew that we had only a limited amount of seats in our mastermind. In fact, we only had 15. So we thought to ourselves, if we booked based on 22% close rates, if we book around 75 calls and we close 17 of those folks, we're going to have a full boat. And that's exactly what happened. So we had booked 75 calls, we closed 17 deals, and that generated $104,000 in 41 days. That was an average of me and my business partner taking 1.8 calls per day for 40 days. You guys could take 2 calls a day, right? You could take 2 calls a day. It's not that difficult to do as long as you have predictability and consistency, right? And so as we were doing this, all these people came up and they're like, whoa, how'd you do that? And so from there, we were like, well, we're going to launch the software and then we'll teach the people how to do that. And so that's what we did. We launched FlowChat. What is FlowChat? It helps you to find, fill, connect, nurture, and close deals in personal DMs. It's the only platform of itself that works across 14 different social media platforms, and it is hyper effective, okay? And it wasn't just us. As soon as these people started getting started, here's Heather. We helped her business go from, in 4 months, we doubled her revenue from $36,000 a month to $65K, right? And then there was more. Marley Jacks, dear friend of mine, we took her business from $41,000 to $140,000 in 4 months. And the beauty of this, after we deployed all this, she is now hitting $250K to $300 to $400K a month every single month. And she still has this system running in her business, which is super powerful. Still more, Laura Alvarado. We took her business from $32K to $61K in about 4 months. And if you're wondering if you have a bigger business, right, and you're here and you're like, oh, okay, so it works for the kind of the smaller mid-sized businesses, it also works for big ones. Like we helped Krista with her team of 8 sales pros to go from $430K a month to $620K a month. That was an increase of $200,000 in MRR. Like crazy, crazy results. And there's so many more stories. I just wanted to throw a couple here for you. Brings me into this next part, which I think is kind of going to be the most valuable for you. So pay attention. This is the part, right? Get out a piece of paper. This is the time to start taking notes. Let's pretend for just 1 second that you are a prospect for a potential CRM, maybe like a FlowChat type of CRM. And there's 2 businesses that run CRMs that are trying to attempt to go after this DM outreach system. And you are the recipient, the lucky recipient of 2 different messaging threads. And so as you're going through this, I want you to feel, I'm going to read these things to you. I want you to feel it and just really internalize this, because this second version was built using the system I'm going to share with you today. The first version was not. So brand X, the first version, here's what their flow was. Message 1, they say, hello, Sarah. Are you interested in our CRM solution? It has many features that can help you win in the DMs. Now, if you got that message in your DMs, what are you probably doing? You're probably just swiping left, deleting, moving on, never thinking about it at all again. That may happen, right? If this type of a message, again, that generic, non-authentic, non-traditional, original type message comes, we get them a million times a day, right? You could look in your unread threads and see this. But then they come back and they say this. Hey there, Sarah. Check out our awesome CRM. It's totally going to rock your world. Blah. Right? They throw up on you. This is the second message they send. You're just like, oh my God, this is terrible. Right? Third message. Dear valued customer. They didn't even use the name. They didn't nothing. We would like to offer you a discount. So they're already offering a discount because that's the only way they know how to sell on our CRM product. Let's book a call, okay? And then they send a booking link. Right? Now, if you were the recipient of this type of messaging flow, how would you react? You'd probably puke a little bit in your mouth. You'd probably delete it. You'd probably never even think about it. You'd probably move on. This is what Brand X did. And in fact, Brand X is a real business, used this exact messaging thread, and I saw them get some results with it. So there's hope, right? But let's talk about using AI and actually really building a brand voice, something that's going to be powerful. So the second company, Brand Y, was a client, and they followed this process and they came through the system and they said, here's what we're going to do. We're going to create this messaging sequence that actually books calls for us like awesomely, and here's what it looks like. So imagine if you received this message. Message 1. I love what you're doing, Sarah. Your dedication to growth and innovation is seriously impressive. Quick question for you. How's your DM outreach going lately? Many founders find it challenging to get responses in their DMs. Have you experienced this too? And again, it's a very passive question and it compliments somebody, right? We found that the best and most intriguing and best first message in the DMs we could ever send is a simple compliment. And in this case, we sent a simple compliment with a question, which is also very, very effective. And when you receive this message, you probably read it and you're like, huh, yeah, I've experienced that too. Right? You're going to agree. It's going to be warm, friendly, not going to be pressury or feel salesy at all. Perfect first message. And we dive into message 2. Hey, what's been your biggest hurdle with the DM engagement so far? Notice most people say, yeah, it's a problem. Most companies would jump back down their throat. Oh, I can help you with that. Buy my stuff. But here we're keeping the fangs in our mouth and we're backing up and we're saying, what's your biggest hurdle? Like, I don't even know, like, how's it going? And then Sarah would turn around and say, well, nobody responds to me, or my messages fall on deaf ears, or I don't know what to say, or any of those things, right? We'd write back this. That makes sense. Personalization can be tough. How you're currently crafting your DM messages. And at this point, typically what happens is the primal brain for Sarah is now unlocked. We've dropped her filters, and she's going to come back and dump a bunch of stuff on our messaging. We read through all that and we're like, oh, that's awesome. And then we say this, got it. And how often do you follow up with leads after the initial DM? See what I'm doing here? I'm pre-qualifying Sarah to become this mega great client because I already know, and this is how you pull out what people talk about as pain points in a conversational flow. And then we come back and actually do the next step, which makes sense. We say this: it sounds like you're on the right track, but maybe missing a few key strategies to boost engagement. I'd love to share some insights that have helped other founders significantly improve DM response rates. How about we hop on a call to dive deeper into this? I promise it'll be worth your time. Here's a link to book a call. Looking forward to connecting and helping you take your DM game to the next level. Let me know when you book, right? When you get this type of a message, you're like, yes, I need a few key strategies. I could boost my engagement. That would be really helpful. This call is going to be valuable. And then you would book the call, right? The results speak for themselves. The question becomes, which of the methods of messaging would you like to receive as a customer? Question one. The tougher question is, which messaging sequence do you want to deploy from your business to your prospects? It's going to be brand Y, right? No question, no brainer. That's just what it is. So how do we do it? Well, there's kind of a 3-part framework that I want to share with you today. The first one is you have to create your brand voice. This means if you're a great copywriter, you're in luck. If you're not a great copywriter, you're in luck, right? Because we have the power of AI at our fingertips, we can actually go and craft our own brand voice. I'm going to show you how to do that. Secondly, we're going to take that brand voice and we're going to create a DM messaging sequence like the one from brand Y that I just read to you. That's very authentic, original, and in that moment where it's going to capture your prospects. And then step 3 is just to deploy, split test, and then optimize the flow. So I'm going to walk through these with a little bit of stuff that you can copy. This is the magic. Get ready to take pictures. Here we go. First of all, we got to create your brand voice. So the first thing we need to do, whether you're a great copywriter or you're not, doesn't matter. We need to find your muse, meaning we have to choose a piece of writing from someone whose style you admire. If you are a good copywriter and you've been copywriting for a long time, and maybe you have like some emails that you've written that you're really proud of, or a blog post, or even your content on social, whatever, choose a piece of writing, and it usually should be, about a page, maybe 2 pages. Kind of the longer the better, but go wherever you want, right? Like when I first started this process, I went to people like Neil Patel, Gary Halbert, Valdo Albuquerque, Dan Kennedy, and I looked at all of their copy, and I kind of took a lot of this stuff, and I that's where I took my pieces of writing from. Second thing we do, we use this magic AI prompt. This is the thing that I think is valuable for you, and I'm going to cover it in a minute. And then step 3 is just refine it, right? Because you can't, sometimes if you have like multiple people, if you did what I kind of did, then it becomes a little bit challenging. But here's what you do. Take a picture of this right here. Take a screenshot, because this prompt will change everything for you, right? Summarize the writing style below. That's from your muse, right? By describing the writer's voice using an XY list where X is the subject and Y is the description as demonstrated in this example. Vocabulary, description of vocabulary tendencies would go here. Analyze the author's style, tone, vocabulary, grammar, rhetorical voices, content patterns, and values. Describe these extensively without giving specific examples. Use the text below for your analysis that could be applied to any piece or topic this author might write. And then you copy and paste that piece of writing from your muse and you put it in quotations after that prompt. Okay? So you first post this prompt, and then you copy and paste the writing from someone you admire into the sample, and then you hit go. And when you do that, it spits out this magical writing voice that can become your brand voice. And then, of course, you would just refine it, read through it, and make some small changes, create a brand voice that feels right for you, test it a bunch of times, and this is what we get to. So as an example, this is kind of what the prompt output would look like. It would say, here's the vocabulary of this person, or the tone, or the grammar, the rhetorical devices, content patterns, values, engagement, persuasive formatting, and the full-on writing voice. So this is a pretty long prompt, but this is your brand voice. And now what you can do is you can take this brand voice and you can use it to craft other things, right? Which leads us into step 2. So now we've created our brand voice from a writing style that we like. We have it all laid out in a piece of paper or a Google Doc, and we're ready to go. Well, how do we create a DM messaging sequence that we can use for our business? Again, very simply, I'm going to share another framework of a prompt that you can use, but what we want to do is define your goals. What do you want to achieve with your DMs? Are you trying to book calls? Are you trying to get people to a webinar? Are you trying to take them to your sales page? Are you trying to grow a YouTube channel or a newsletter? Are you trying to get downloads on your podcast? Are you trying, are you trying to network with a Dream 100 flow of group of people that you can connect with and do JV deals with? Like, what is the thing that you're trying to achieve with your DMs? And then we're going to create that exact messaging sequence. Script crafting. Use your new brand voice to write a sequence of messages that guide prospects through a journey from introduction to conversion that you're trying to get. And here is the prompt framework. Again, take a picture of this, really, really valuable. What you're going to say in your GPT prompt or your AI prompt, wherever you're playing, you say, we're talking to AI as if they're a person. That's a pro tip, by the way. You'll get way better responses when you do that. And you say, you are a blank, and you're going to fill in the blank with the exact person that you want your brand to embody or essence, right? And then after that, you say, please create a blank. And we're going to have them create a DM messaging sequence in this style and doing these things. And then you say at the end, this is kind of the tip to tail as we call it. The tip is who they are, what you want, and then how they should write it, right? Use the following writing style to create this. So enter your brand writing style you created from the previous step that we just talked about. Here's kind of what it looks like. You're a world-class business owner and people look up to you. So you are a blank. World-class business owner, people look up to you, they want to be like you, use all the same tools you do, take up the same hobbies, buy everything that you have to sell. You're the co-founder of, in this case I wrote it for me, of FlowChat, an award-winning software that has completely disrupted how businesses use DMs to communicate. That's my first part. Tip. Middle, what I want. Please create a conversational two-way DM messaging script to get the founder potentially struggling with using the DM methods to grow her business, to connect, engage, reply, and book a call. The messaging sequence must include an engagement complement, 2 to 3 transitional questions, and determine whether or not it makes sense for her to book a call, an invitation to book a call, then a booking link message. That's the middle of what I'm asking for. And then here's the writing style I want you to create this in. And now if you can use this framework, you can build anything. You don't have to be building a two-way messaging script. You can build blog posts or content, or you can use it to do a lot of things. I'm showing you how to do a DM messaging sequence that will hammer for your business, right? And then when you hit go, it comes out with something like this. It'll always say, hey, founder's name. I've been following your journey with blank, absolutely what you're doing. Now you've seen these questions. Like, these are really, really powerful messaging sequence questions that we can use. And this is what it's going to look like. So now you just put this on a piece of paper and you now have your DM messaging sequence. Voila. Last pro tip here, no prompt is perfect. You will have to edit and adjust your messaging. Sometimes you're going to like it, sometimes you're not. Okay? So now we know how to create that DM messaging sequence. And the last thing, probably very important, most important, we got to split test and optimize. So what are we doing here when we split test and optimize? Well, number one, your initial testing. So what we want to do is we want to send out your messages to a small segment either of your audience or to people we don't know. I prefer going to the cold market. Why? Because when I send messages to my friends and family, typically they sugarcoat the response. But if I send messages to a cold audience that I don't know, they're going to be pretty much a lot more critical, a little bit more cold, and I'm going to get feedback very quickly of what messages work and what messages don't, right? So we want to send it out there. We want to analyze the results. Which messages got the most engagement? Which ones fell flat? Why? It's always easy to ask people about your messaging. And then you just refine and perfect. Once you adjust your sequence based on the feedback, you can continually optimize and get way better results. Once it's optimized, here's an example. And again, these are kind of some accepted ranges. So I would encourage you to, like, say this particular flow is designed for growing a Facebook group as an example. Where we would know that the average accepted or the initial engagement should be 15 to 40%. So if you send out 100 messages, you should get 15 to 40 responses. That should be the range that you're looking for when you first start doing your outreach, okay? In this case, we got 16.4, as you can see, right? We invited 1,400 people with our initial message. We got 230 of them to say, yeah, I want to be in your group, and they joined the group. Of these group members, now we invited them to book a call. Again, the range here should be 20 to 50%. Usually around 25 or higher is like kind of the key. we were getting 37% of inviting our group members to book calls using a messaging sequence that you just saw or something very similar to it. And that created 85 book calls, right? We had some other messaging that would make sure that the calls got completed, like the show up rates and the no-show rates, and we measured that stuff. But we got 88.2% of people to show to our calls. The range of showing to a call should be 70 to 90%, okay? So we had 75 calls completed out of the total 85 that were booked, and we closed at 22.7%. Again, the rule of thumb with closes, if you're closing 3 out of 3, raise your prices. If you're closing 2 out of 3, raise your prices. When you're closing 1 out of 3 on a consistent basis, or maybe a little bit more than that, right around that 20% range, this means that your pricing is probably kind of at the top echelon of what your market can bear. So that's just a rule of thumb, but I think it would probably help you, something new. And then of course we were selling a mastermind, so we sold 17 deals at $6,000, which is just over 100 grand, okay? So that's where those numbers came from. So now you understand how to create your brand voice. I've shared the 2 prompts that you need to create a messaging sequence that's truly gonna revolutionize everything you're doing. And all you gotta do is do the work, split test and optimize, and then you're off and running to the races. When you do this well, this is what it could look like. Earlier this year, I started taking some sales conversations just to get the system really tuned up again. And this 1 week, what my team was able to do using our messaging, right? We didn't do it, it was my team. They booked 17 sales conversations and 1 Facebook group live pitch presentation for me in a single week. Now, let's pretend just for a second you don't book 17 calls, maybe you only book 5. What does 5 more booked calls for your business mean this week? What does that revenue dollar look like? If you close 1 or 2 out of 5, are you priced at 2 grand, 3 grand, 5 grand? What's your number, right? If you can instantly put 5 more quality calls from a good conversation up front, your business is going to grow, okay? So this is what's possible when done well. And again, it's not just me. Here's a whole bunch more people, but this is Adam. He said this system generated 30K of extra revenue from their event. So they used a messaging sequence. They used the same thing. They used the voice and they drove the messaging sequence to get people to register for their event, challenge or virtual event. This alone got 30 grand of new revenue for them, and it's going to bring in more than 7 figures this year. He's going to get one of these 7-figure awards really, really soon. Really excited to send it to him and his wife. Here's Sahil. Sahil used the same pattern to book some calls. He got it so dialed in that he's able to book 20 some calls a day. And then if you look on the right, it says those are the reps that he's using to book calls. He booked 103 calls in a single week. Now, your business might not need that many book calls, but I'm just sharing with you like what is possible, right? Which is pretty insane. And your number one challenge in kind of going through all this and listening to me, you're like, Sean, this is awesome, but I don't know where to get started. So I'm going to share this very, very simply for you. There's 3 things that you could do. Number 1, find someone who writes copy the way you want to write copy to your audience. Step 1, easy. Step 2, use the prompt to get the writing style and adapt it to your brand. Pretty simple. Step 3, create a messaging sequence that you can use starting today. So by the end of tonight, before you put your head on that pillow and close your eyes, you should have used this prompt to find your brand writing voice and created a messaging sequence and at least sent out your first 10 messages. That would be an absolute win, right? Because those first 10 messages are going to give you a quick indication. Number 1, it's going to lead into a bunch more convos for yourself. And number 2, you're probably going to book some calls like right away. So this is a thing that will get you results today, right? Don't wait. Today, right? Do these steps before you go to bed. Have those first 10 messages sent on any social media platform. That doesn't matter, right? And so now you know how to craft personalized DMs that convert. I just walked through with you. You also know how to build authentic connections that foster loyalty and trust because you're using a brand voice and a messaging sequence to pull that out of them. And finally, streamlining the outreach process to save time because you know exactly what to say next. You're not struggling in the DMs. You're not searching for people. You just know, hey, I sent this message to Joe. I'm going to go back and send the next one and the next one and the next one. Oh, he said something that was a little off script. And as you do this so often, you'll start to see trends and patterns. And then you just make little tweaks and adjustments and eventually have the whole thing optimized. Whoa, pretty intense, right? So what's the future look like? Well, if you start doing this, what I just shared with you, you're going to hit the next stumbling block, which is how do I do tracking? How do I do reporting? I'm not a spreadsheet genius. I can't do that. Like, what is the thing, right? Tracking will become a nightmare for you. And if you just want a software to run all of this with automations, AI reporting, and conversions, let's talk. Book a time with my team here, right? Free strategy call. What we'll do on that call is very simple. There's 3 things. Number 1, we're going to decide together whether or not what we have to offer, our software, our tech, and all this messaging that we just talked about is truly a good fit for you. That's the first thing we're going to determine together. Very easy. Secondly, we're going to determine how and where this is going to be deployed. What is the method or the strategy that you want in your business? Are you trying to build a challenge? Are you trying to build a virtual event like the one you're at right now? And get eyeballs into it? Are you trying to book calls for your business? Are you trying to grow a YouTube channel or a newsletter or get downloads on a podcast or anything of the sort? We're going to determine how and where we're going to use the software to your advantage. That's the second thing we do on that strategy call. And we're going to design a strategy that makes a lot of sense. And then lastly, so does this fit? Where we're going to use it? And what do results look like? See, because I don't want to get anyone started with our tech, and I'm pretty specific about this. In fact, I turn a lot of people away. I don't ever want to get anyone started with our tech that I don't know if they're going to get results or not. So our team is trained to make sure that we know exactly what results are going to be on the end of that call. And by the end of the call, we'll have so much clarity on like where you're going, what you're going to do. And even if you decide that our system's not a fit for you, you'll still have that game plan and that map, and it'll be super clear for you, and you can just go execute, right? Because about me, it's not about making money for me. It's about impacting people like you, helping you leverage technology, helping you get the results that you're actually trying to do. Imagine what this is going to feel like when you wake up and you see messages just ripping and you see like appointments getting booked. Like, it is completely life-changing. And of course, if you do decide to book that call, no pressure. Just go to call.flowchat.com/one-on-one. And then ask about the AI Unleashed special offer that we have to offer you guys, because we did put together a special offer. So just let us know that you came from this summit when you get on that call. I think in the when you book the call, you can say where'd you hear about us. Just say the AI Summit, and then our team will know exactly where you came from, and they know the special offer that we can provide for you. With that said, guys, there's nothing left to do but you get out there, go do the work, and get the results. Remember, go Flow Chat. Book a time with my team here, and that's all I got for you today. Hopefully this one's valuable, and I look forward to seeing you in the DMs. Ciao for now.